Good morning and welcome to Rose Red Homestead Micro Moment Monday, where today we're going to focus on something that has directly to do with self-reliance. And that is, we're going to be sharing some tips on how we can avoid scammers. It is well known that older people are very rich targets for people who would like to scam us out of our money and property and other things. And so we need to be especially vigilant, and more so than we were in our younger years even. I'm really lucky because Jim has several long suits. You know, in a marriage it's great when we have distributed expertise, I guess we could say. And he is especially a great stickler on safety issues and also managing our finances. He's vigilant about checking things. I'm not so vigilant. I'm not even very vigilant about checking the gas gauge in my truck. So sometimes he has to tell me, Pam, you're down to under a quarter of a tank. So anyway, it's great to be married to somebody who's vigilant in that regard. We are members of AARP, and as such, we get their magazine. And this month or last month, they had an article on how to avoid scammers. And I thought that it had some really good things, not just for those of us who are considered to be older, but for everyone to be vigilant in safeguarding their private information. So I just thought we would take a few minutes and go over these things. There are 7 things that I want to share with you. They call this an updated list because they have put out lists before, and there are other places where you can get lists. First one is, and I had no clue about this, and it's a great one. You know, Jim and I very often on our phones, we will get text messages from people claiming to be UPS or even the U.S. Post Office. We have a package here that the address is messed up. We need for you to call this number right away so we can get your package delivered to you. Well, we recognize those as scams immediately. First of all, we didn't order anything. And second of all, that's not how those entities would have contacted us.
UPS knows where I live. They have my address.
Well, that's true. He goes up and down our dirt road delivering to all of us all the time on this street. When you live in a little bit of a rural area, you do more ordering online probably than if you live in the city. So I did not know this about iPhone, and I checked, and Android phones also have the same thing that you can do to help with this. Now, if scammers don't know how to get, or if they cannot get in touch with you directly, then it is more difficult for them to contact you. And so what the first recommendation is to open up your contact list and get rid of all contacts that you no longer use. I was astounded when I went to my contact list. I have people listed in my contact list who I don't even remember. And I know it's from my time at 3 previous universities. And so I will be taking some time to go through and just clean out my contact list. Family, friends, people that I know, I will leave in. And then here's the thing, and I just did this to my phone recently. You go into settings. You go into the settings and select phone, and then you scroll down to where there is an option for silence unknown callers. So I turned that on. And what happens when your phone receives a call that is not from someone in your contact list, it goes directly to voicemail and leaves you a voicemail. So you still have the option of checking voicemail to see who may have contacted you, but it will not ring through for you to answer. So that I thought was just a great tip. The next one is to make sure you are signed out of any financial apps on your phone. Credit cards, financial institutions, peer-to-peer apps such as Venmo, Cash App, or Zelle. And also make sure your account settings require security measures, such as a PIN, a fingerprint, or facial recognition. This ensures that if your phone is stolen, the thief will not have access to your money. On my iPhone, I have a feature that is called Wallet. It comes with iPhone. And I do keep some of my credit cards numbered and with a picture of that card there so I can use Apple Pay in stores if I want to. But even with that being the case, having the picture of the face of my credit card, even if I am in my phone, that I've gone through the first level of security, which is my password, which is a pretty strong password even to get into my phone, then it takes facial recognition before it will allow me to use that card. And so it is protected that way as well. So then it says audit your wallet or your purse. And these are the physical wallets and purses that we may carry with us. Now, this was one that we mentioned in a previous video some months ago, and it is really, really important. So I'm going to read you what they say. Remove cards and information you don't need to carry, such as your Social Security or Medicare card, and make copies of anything you do need to carry front and back and store in a safe place at home. And we don't need to carry our Social Security card. We do not need to carry our Medicare card for those of us that have one of those. And so don't carry anything that you do not need. I have even removed pictures from my wallet because I have pictures on my phone that I can access of my loved ones. And I don't want, if my purse were stolen, I don't want anyone having access to pictures in my wallet of my family. Then number 4 is to routinely monitor your credit report. Some banks or credit cards offer this as a free service. You can also go to annualcreditreport.com to get free reports from the big 3 credit bureaus. Watch for unusual activity. If you see any, report it immediately to all 3 bureaus and appropriate financial institutions. So that is one thing we need to add to our monitoring list. Do you do that, Jim? Do you?
No.
Yeah, I don't do that either, but we probably should start doing that. Every few months, this is number 5, revise the passwords on your financial accounts. Your best bet is to use a passphrase. I love my 17 dogs, and it's DOGZ and then with an exclamation point. So that's a little phrase rather than one of those complicated things with all different kinds of symbols and everything in it that I can never remember. And then you rely on your automatic password platform on your electronic device to feed that in. Well, I don't know how to work that very well on mine, and it always gives me the wrong password when I do it automatically. And so I have started resorting to a passphrase, and it is so much easier for me to remember and so much more difficult for a scammer to have any clue as to what my passphrase is, because I use things that I'm very familiar with that are not very common. Like I know scientific names for plants, and those are very familiar to me. So I will sometimes slip in something like my favorite flower is, and then I'll give a scientific name, and that's part of a passcode. And that's something that I can remember easily, but something that an outside person would never come up with. And then it says, I love my 17 dogs, exclamation point, is much stronger than Scruffy 23. Keep track of passwords in a highly secure password manager or by writing them down and storing them safely. So I use that method of writing them down, keeping them in a secure format and hiding them so that they're not easily available. Then here's one that is, one more thing I want to say about revising our passwords. Both Jim and I have experienced, and perhaps you have too, fairly recently, we have received a fraud alert on some of our bank cards. In my case, someone had tried to run through an amount of, I think it was like $1.27 in one of my accounts. And the fraud alert from the bank contacted me directly, and I thought that their fraud notice to me directly was a scammer. So I picked up the phone and called them in person, and they verified that it was their scam alert people that were notifying me that someone had gotten my password. Well, one of the mistakes that I made early on was that I used the same password for a whole lot of things. I no longer do that, but this was a relic of throwback to when the days that I was doing that. And so somehow they got my password and tried to access my account. And I talked to the fraud people about it, and one of the things that they said was that now what a lot of scammers try to do is if they get a password, however they do that, and attempt to access accounts, they'll do it with a very small amount. And they'll give it a certain amount of days, and if it goes through, then they will hit your account with a whole series of not enough to alert people, but like an amount that you might spend at a grocery store or that sort of thing, repeatedly until they can drain your account. And so I got a new card and set up a new password. And then with Jim, they gave him a dummy account so that if someone attempted to use that card, that instead of hitting the account where some funds were kept, it would hit this dummy account with a zero balance, and it would discourage the scammers that way. So you might check with your bank to see if such a thing is available where you do your banking. One of the most important ones, I think, is this next one, which is number 6. Be skeptical. Many criminals use friendliness and compassion and kindness as their persuasion method, rather than fear and intimidation. Likewise, scammers create a sense of urgency to get you to act out of emotion rather than logic. If you feel pressured or manipulated, walk away. We have had friends who have been victims of this kind of a feeling of making you feel wanted, making you feel important, and using charm and compassion as a way to get to you. And then they've been scammed out of quite a lot of money. And that just rankles me, that people will try to trap other people through goodness and compassion. And so we just need to be vigilant and very, very skeptical. Thankfully, I have a pretty skeptical approach to life. I come from the sciences, and that's what scientists do. We're skeptical about everything, and we require a lot more evidence than maybe someone else might. So be skeptical of any new person that comes into your life. Check references, just be very, very cautious and make sure that they are who you really think that they are.
Or who they claim to be.
Or who they claim to be, yeah. Then, for those of us who are on social media, check your social media settings to make sure you have your accounts set to private. This allows only people you choose to trust to view your pages and contact you. Now, those of us who are in business have to be a little cautious about that, but perhaps we can set up private accounts just for family and others. But our public business-related social media efforts, Jim and I are very cautious even then about giving away too much information about our private lives, for instance. We love our community, and as a whole we trust you, but we have of course had unsavory people who have made comments and who may be attempting to get to us as well. So it is kind of a sad state of affairs that we have to be so cautious, but we can be smart about it. This is something that we can be more diligent in making sure that we make it extraordinarily difficult for scammers to actually get to us. If you have additional ideas or additional lists for us that you would like to share with our community, please do so. Make comments on this. You can share your own stories about how you've avoided being scammed and some tricks that have been tried against you. and we can make this video a source of good information for all of us who are concerned about helping each other stay safe. So thanks so much for joining us, and we appreciate you so very much. And we will see you again very soon for more videos, and especially next Monday for another micro moment.